That ex was like a rebel. He was a fucking rebel. I like, God damn. You gotta have big time revolutionaries.
I know why Brett Weinstein's is Unity 2020 movement didn't work, because it started with the hashtag. I mean, it was doomed from the start. You start with anything with a hashtag, including Black Lives Matter, and it turns out to be just one big circle jerk or, a bonfire right in the middle of your living room. So, there you go, Eric. No, it got banned. If you don't know what the Unity 2020 is, this was a movement by a guy named Eric Weinstein, who is a classic liberal. He was a biology professor at Evergreen State, and he got wrapped up in this whole woke revolution that happened on campus, where basically a bunch of kids were holding like Maoist struggle session, like tribunals, where I believe they're trying to lynch him or something. I mean, it got rough for Eric, and he's like a biology professor who's loved and never had a racist bone in his body. He is Jewish. So clearly, I mean, just by default, growing up in America, you will experience some anti-Semitism. But America loves Jews, and Jews love America. So, anyway, but the Unity 2020 movement was his attempt to build a center coalition, and it's a great idea, because that's where politics or elections are won, is right in the center, because you have the right and the left, and they're so fortified in their position. You get the vote blue no matter who, but the right has had a populist movement that has gone critical mass. There are still rhinos and neocons in the party, but there's only a few, like Kissinger and Cheney. Pretty much everybody. Even if they are, and I believe there are quite a few neocons hiding out and faking it till you make it with the America First agenda. But the America First agenda, to me, is a good place to start with instead of a Unity 2020, because it was bound to get shut down because it was taking votes from both sides. And I think that if you want to have coalition voting, where basically you can vote, say you're a libertarian, you cast a vote for a libertarian, but you could, like, your libertarian candidate could join up, so to speak, with the Republican side, supposedly the Democratic side, but and the Democratic Party is tainted. I just stay away from that mamma jamma with a 10-foot pole. And I really think people should start thinking about the Republican Party. And I'm a liberal, man. Just the fact that if I were to look back at myself 3 years ago, not 3 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, I would have been like, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to be a Republican. But you got to realize that our republic isn't meant to have anything but a two-party system, because you need to have a majority of the electorate, or the electoral college. But like I said, you could change that if you could have your delegates, or your percentage. Basically, it would just be the way you count up votes. So say like the Green Party and the Socialist Democrats on their own ticket.
There is no planet B. There is no planet blah, 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 blah.
There is no planet B. There is no planet blah, 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 blah.
The Democrats, whatever, they could create their little coalition. And on the right, it'd be the same thing. But probably a big coalition on the right now. But that would be the way around that. And I think that type of thing is doable. Also, I think we should have a bunch of parties where people actually declare their politics, because socialists have come to power on the left, and they're hiding out, saying, oh, we're Scandinavian socialism, when that's socialization. That's not socialism. That's a group of people who are basically homogenous, and have a strong social capital and a strong social cohesion, saying, okay, we're going to help out the less fortunate, and we're going to pay a lot of taxes for this, but everybody's going to kind of chip in because, mind you, you're only as weak as your weakest link. So if everybody if there's already these social fabrics that keep people from really falling through the cracks, then you don't need a like all-encompassing welfare state, because everybody's kind of just, it's basically a collective bargaining agreement rather than a social welfare agreement. You know, it's like, and also that's a smaller government, because the bigger the government gets, the more bureaucratic it becomes. It gets harder to move levers, because especially if corporations are given the same free speech accord that that individuals get, which is there's a ruling where this happened, and our politics are that's part of the reason why shit is spinning out of control, is because all of a sudden people are already maligned and conspiratorial on the edges, and if you're on the left, it would be the Koch brothers, okay, and on if that would be who you'd see on the right, the undue influence. Now, if you're on the right, looking at the left, you got George Soros. Apparently, there's this other German guy. You got Bill Gates. You got Melinda Gates, Bill and Melinda, formerly and Melinda. You got a whole litany of rich CEOs who all went to leftist schools and were inculcated with these leftist ideals. That's how this all happened, was that everybody went to college and everybody became super goddamn rich because of the tech booms and really, yeah, the growing of the tech industry, because homes are integrated. Everything is integrated now with AI or big data, or learning data, every type of, algorithmic, infusion. And this is the world that we've got, where you have a bunch of people who are way left of the American people. Because American people, and some of the strongest in the coalition for Democrats, i.e. Black Americans or Latinos, you're talking about some religious people. You're talking about some socially conservative people when it comes down to it. The only selling point the Democrats have to keep the black coalition is the Republicans are racist. That's all they got. And the more and more you make more like this moral imperative or dichotomy of like racist and anti-racist and all this crap, and you've basically made white people into racists in general, it becomes less of a reason to work with each other. You start to despise each other. And that's what's happened, is that identity got into politics. And when it's identity, it's very hard to be wrong, and it's also very hard to work with people who you're not alike to. It's like, why would you find common ground with somebody who you despise? So, anyways,
I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy.